there's obviously a lot of things that are not in this bill that were in the original Build Back Better bill. And there's certainly goodies in there for the fossil fuel industry. Hopefully we're going to speak to someone tomorrow to get an assessment from a climate change perspective. But I think the easiest way to look at this is that we are paying a ransom as a country to the fossil fuel industry for them to allow us to transition away from fossil fuels.
And particularly to Manchin as well. So a pipeline can run through the over 1,000 wetlands and streams in West Virginia and pollute them there. He has given his constituents that privilege.
There you go. You're welcome. Now, and it's unclear, a lot of times these things don't actually deliver. It's one thing to say, like, you can open up the leases for fossil fuel companies, but they got a ton of leases. The real question is, like, how much money can they make when they drill on these leases? And with the billions of dollars being poured into renewable energy, it's going to make their energy more expensive and less valuable. And so they may not ever use those leases. But again, it's basically like a bribe. And at the end of the day, doesn't look like we're going to hit the 50% mark that Biden had wanted in terms of dropping emissions by 2030. But supposedly it appears that we're going to hit the 40% mark. And again, that's pretty good.
Yeah. Again, I agree with you. It's a net positive, but I do want to point out that a lot of this is tax credits and incentives as opposed to mandating of industry, which is what we really need to effectively combat climate change. But
we'll be talking to an expert on that. But here is Chuck Schumer delivering the final speech before the Senate Democrats and Vice President Harris passed the Inflation Reduction Act, which, again, it's not going to impact inflation.
It's like really, telling a kid who's having fruit, like, tastes just like candy, right?
Yeah.
To get Manchin on board.
It's not even almost like tastes like candy. It's like, it's candy.
Yeah.
Well, no, this is fruit. It's candy. It's more or less candy. But you know what? If it works, fine. Here is Chuck Schumer.
It's been a long, tough, and winding road, but at last, we have arrived. I know it's been a long day and a long night, but we've gotten it done. Today, after more than a year of hard work, the Senate is making history. I am confident the Inflation Reduction Act will endure as one of the defining legislative feats of the 21st century. Our bill reduces inflation, lowers costs, creates millions of good-paying jobs, and is the boldest climate package in U.S. history. This bill will kickstart the era of affordable clean energy in America. It's a game changer, it's a turning point, and it's been a long time in coming. To Americans who've lost faith that Congress can do big things, this bill is for you. To seniors who face the indignity of rationing medications or skipping them altogether, this bill is for you. And to the tens of millions of young Americans who have spent years marching, rallying, demanding that Congress act on climate change, this bill is for you.
Schumer's pretty excited because now he can pretend like he never messed up and totally almost blew this entire thing. We should say the other part of this package, it's basically two things. Well, it's really three things. It is a climate package, which provides a ton of subsidies for renewable energy and promoting renewable energy. Also for communities that suffer from basically what comes down to environmental racism, right? Like where, if you want to find a power station, just look to the most marginalized community in any given town, that's where you'll find the power station. It also caps the price of drugs, or allows Medicare to negotiate for drugs starting in 2026, 10 drugs. After that, it starts increasing it. It caps the out-of-cost expenses for medication at $2,000 for seniors annually. It attempted to limit the price, or put a price control on insulin for people outside of Medicare. It was ruled out of order by the parliamentarian. It was kept in the bill, and then Republicans passed a motion to get it out of the bill. I mean, Democrats could have ignored the parliamentarian in that instance. People suspect that maybe there'll be a bipartisan bill about insulin after this. But that's,
I mean, what did they get? 57 Republicans on board initially, so they'd need more than that. And if it's a standalone,
they had 7 Republicans on board.
Sorry,
right?
That's
exactly.
what I mean to say. Yeah. So
they needed 60, and to make it to pass it outside of the reconciliation rules.
I really doubt that McConnell's going to want to give Biden that win ahead of the midterms.
I would imagine not, but we'll see. And then there was also Sinema wanted to, protect hedge fund people from having to pay the same amount of taxes that everybody else does. And so we ended up getting a minimum tax for corporations at 15%. I'm not quite sure on how effective that will be. I guess time will tell, and we'll get a sense of that. Also, funding for the IRS to get up to some decent staffing levels, so that they don't just basically let millionaires and billionaires walk away without paying any taxes. And there was another bump on taxes, but basically that's the bill. And it is about, I don't know, maybe 9 times smaller than the original one, or I should say the 3.5 billion one. But it is something, and relative to what we've done in terms of climate in this country, it is maybe more than something. But we'll talk to somebody who is an expert on this stuff in the coming days to make that assessment.